What is up? Mitch Maeli Live is back, and we're so excited to be back. We're going to be streaming live on YouTube and broadcasted on the Investor Secret Network. If you don't know what the Investor Secret Network is, then stay tuned to the end because we're going to be talking about it a little bit. But we have an amazing training for you today, and
If you don't know what the
Maeli is
Investor
going to
Secret
kick us
Network is,
off.
then stay tuned to the end because we're going to be talking about it a little
Maeli,
bit. But
why don't
we
you
have
take it away?
Okay, sounds good. I'm so excited to have us back. Obviously, it's been almost a year since we decided to go live again. With though everyone commenting for 2024, like, where did Mitch and Manny Live go? So we're like, all right, let's bring it back. But we're gonna bring it back with the intention to take your business to the next level. So it's not just a Mitch and Maeli Live like it was before. We will still have guest speakers on, and this will feel very much like a podcast. But more so than anything, this year, it's going to be action steps. Actually dial in your business so that you can take real estate investing and retire young and retire wealthy to heart. Because we know, and we saw some facts recently where it was showing that the average American has less than $200,000 in their retirement account when they turn 65. If that's the case, that means that they're retiring on less than $3,000 a month for 5 years. Now, I don't know about you, but if your retirement plan is I hope I die after 5 years after my retirement, so by 70, that's terrifying and only on $3,000 a month. That makes me want to cry. This is why we have so many Walmart workers at 90 years old. It's because unfortunately, the model that we have in America is a broken system. Now, if you don't agree with that, I mean, put it in the chat. Tell me why you think that that's not the case. But I will say that, and we have all sorts of stats that we can show you, and we can actually throw it up as a picture as well inside the Investor Secret Network. But the key behind it is just to recognize that if we don't take massive action now, then our retirement is going to be very, very sad, right? We won't be able to travel the world. We won't be able to take care of our grandkids. We won't be able to create financial wealth for our families and generational wealth, which is why we do what we do, right? We want you to not only create generational wealth for your families, but their families and their families, right? Leave a legacy. That's what this whole thing is about. There's no better way to do that than what we know, which is real estate. Angie Hewitt actually was on our in our mastermind last Thursday, and she was bringing up some really interesting stats where it's interesting to think that most people don't start thinking about retirement until they're 45 years old. By the time you're 45 years old, it could be pinch time. It could be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. But she was showing stats as far as like how the average American, where they grow their retirement. She was showing stats with real estate and real estate since 1940. I would have to have her come on and share her stats that she was, diving into. But since like 1940 till now, real estate has increased by 1,300%. Think about that for just like 10 seconds. 1,300%. Like that is just wild to think about. And then a really good friend of mine, Alexa Shaw, she was cutting my son's hair last night, and she was saying how her dad and her mother built their first house in 1987. I was like, I remember that, 1987. I was like, okay. And then they sold it so they built it for $160,000, which it's like a 5,000 square foot home in Eden, Utah, like this really nice house. And I'm thinking $160,000. How's that even possible that they could do that? But they did. Fast forward years. Obviously, I'm almost now 30, or I am 37. So, they sold it last year. So fast forward 36 years, and they sold it for $2.8 million last year. Like, what? Real estate really is the backbone of America, and we need to really start not pretending like we have an understanding of what's going on. We actually need to understand how to create massive wealth. So today we are obviously going to be talking about how to generate leads, how to find off-market deals, and we're going to give you some homework so that you feel like you're taking your business to the next level. And today we're going to have Mitch Nelson obviously dive into our lead gen side of things because he is our organizing back end genius. I am the front end of our business. I'm the one that makes those phone calls. I'm the one having those conversations with, distressed homeowners and or just people in general. But he is the one that makes sure that we don't lose any of our leads because for so long in our business, what was happening, and I'm sure you can relate if you're on this call, is you bump into somebody, right? And you're like, oh, hey, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. It's really great to meet you, or it's great to see you again, whatever the conversation is. And then your natural instinct is what? What's your natural instinct? You send them a text message of, hey, we should connect again, right? So, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I'd love to really connect again. Could we do lunch, right? Or something like that. Most of the time, we don't actually set the appointment, though. We say we're going to, and then we just send them a text message. And then right then, we send them a text message. And then a week goes by, and we don't remember what their name was. We don't remember who we talked to. We don't remember why we were excited to talk to them or what services they wanted of yours specifically,
You may
right?
not even remember to remember them.
Yeah, I mean, and exactly, you don't even remember. And that has been a huge bottleneck in our business is because I am a social butterfly and I love networking and talking and socializing. And so I'd go bump into people and be like, oh my gosh, hey, whatever. And they're like, oh, my aunt actually has a home that she needs to sell. Unfortunately, her mom just passed away, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we do, right? Like we take care of homes. We provide a cash offer for people exactly in your situation. Let's connect. I'd love to get your aunt's information, right? Boom, send them a text message. And then if I don't follow up, what happens? Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing will happen because you are the only person that cares about your business. That aunt is like, oh yeah, somebody told me that somebody, they don't remember you. I'm sorry. I wish I could say that everyone remembers me. They don't. They're just like, oh yeah. Once I have a conversation with them again, they're like, oh yeah, thanks for following back up with me. But fortune's in the follow-up, and we have got to start treating our business like a freaking business, right? Stop playing office. And so part of how we've solved this problem for 2024 and now rolling into 2025, which I'm so excited about, is Mitch has created a few things for me. So I have Maeli's one thing, and it's so awesome. It literally has transformed my life. So on my phone, I have this, folder, and on the folder, I have multiple different resources for myself that I can use using our Go High Level Backend Office. One of them, though, is Maeli's one thing. And the Maeli's one thing is super important because it allows this person that I'm talking to immediately be pushed into our database. And Mitch is going to be able to show you a little bit about what this looks like. But basically, it looks like, let's see. It's just an information sheet. You can kind of see that, right? So it's like, who are you? What's your name, your phone number, your email, the city, the state. Are you a real estate agent? I actually care if they're a real estate agent. I need to know how I'm following up with them, right? And then let's connect. Immediately, it sends them a text message of, hey, this is Maeli Nelson. It was really great to talk to you, right? And then now I get to choose what funnel or what bucket, right? I get to put them in. And so I'll go into my back office when I get home later that day, and I will go, okay, this person it needs to be in one of 4 buckets. And we're going to talk through a little bit about what those buckets look like. So originally, right, when we were starting out our business, the only thing we cared about was making sure that we were finding distressed homeowners. And that was it. Really, that was kind of our only thing. If I bumped into somebody and they're like, oh, it's really great to connect. And I was like, cool. Do you know anybody that's in this situation? And they're like, no, not really. I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I just wouldn't connect with them. I would just be like, you don't really serve me for any reason. But what I didn't realize is that just because they don't have someone right this second that is in a distressed situation doesn't mean that tomorrow or next week or next year, right, that they are going to know someone or they're going to be in a situation where they need our help. And because this is a long-term play, this is a long-term game, right? We have to be willing to wait it out. And so just because that person right this second is in a spot where they can't necessarily, help me as a referral, or, they don't know me right this second, doesn't mean that I shouldn't be engaging with them some way, right? We can leverage each other's relationships from more than just one way. So the next thing that I start having conversations with is, have you ever thought about real estate investing? Why do you think that would be a really interesting thing to ask? It does two things. One, you understand what level of curiosity they have inside of investing. That's pretty simple, right? But more importantly, I know if I can start raising capital from this person. Right? And so if they say to me, oh, well, yeah, usually this is kind of the case. Yeah, my uncle or my cousin or my brother, unfortunately, they lost their shorts in 2008. Like, investing scares me really bad, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, moving forward, obviously that we've learned our lesson from 2008. That's not how investing works anymore. What do you do currently for your investments, for your retirement account? Sit, listen, and wait, right? Wait for their response. And no matter what they say, that's the bucket that you put them in. If they say, yeah, I'm really just not interested in investing at all, okay, then that's a no bucket. And that's okay. So Mitch will kind of show you like our workflow, but basically it's putting them in a workflow that says, not right now. Doesn't mean I can't send them emails. It doesn't tell them that I'm not going to send them just interesting facts about investing. No, until they tell me no, I'm going to keep bugging them. Because you never know when their life situation changes. Every year, right? Somebody, if they did a really good job and they started following up with me throughout the entire year, they're going to get business from me somehow. It's just a matter of them reaching out to me so many times. And you do have to reach out to me a lot, right? If you all know me, like I just don't respond. It's terrible. I'm sorry. So busy. And so because of that, if you are aggressive and you're constantly sending me stuff and you're constantly reminding me like, hey, you should be booking this appointment, whatever it is, then you're probably going to get my attention. And finally, I will book that appointment. But it does take that constant, I call it the nag snaggler, but you do have to continue to keep bugging these people because they're busy. And if they're really busy, then you need to bug them even more, to be honest, to be on the forefront of their minds. Okay. So 4 buckets. So either they're excited about wanting to learn how to invest with you, right? Maybe syndicate with you, use their 401 account, use their retirement account to start actually funding your real estate deals. 2, they are somebody that could be a great resource for you, a referral partner of some kind, right? Maybe they know people in probate world. Maybe they work with maybe distressed homeowners in the first place. Or I get a lot of leads from our inspectors, right? They are the first people that show up to those nasty houses to see what's going on. I'll get great referrals from inspectors. Like, who is this person to you and how can you partner up and leverage each other's strengths, right? That's something that you should be focusing on. Number 3 is the bucket is, maybe they want to start doing what you're doing. Maybe they want to learn how to actually do fix and flips, or maybe they want to learn how to do subject to deals. Maybe they actually want to not just be a syndicator and throw money at it. They actually want to do what you're doing. Well, then that's opportunity for them to join your team. Because if you don't want to continue to keep making these phone calls that we're going to be talking about today, and you don't want to be the person that's constantly knocking doors, then you need to find a team that is willing to also do that with you so that it streamlines the process. If there's 10 of you on your own team, then how many doors do you have to personally? If you're supposed to knock 150 doors every week, if that was your goal to hit your numbers, that's a lot of doors to have to knock. But if you had 10 of you all knocking doors, now you gotta knock 12 doors. That's way better, right? Like that's way easier to manage and depending on your phone calls as well. So that's the third bucket. Number 4 is I'm just not interested. And that means I'm just not interested right now. And I actually ask this. So if I did have a deal that had really great margin in it, would you still want me to send that to you via email or text message? Or are you like, absolutely, this is not for you for any reason? And they're like, yeah, please don't ever bug me about this. I'd be like, okay, cool. Thank you. I actually appreciate that because if you just get a hard no, you can get to the next yes, right? So it is nice to hear a no. I actually appreciate it. I'm never offended when I hear a no. I'm like, thank you for being honest, because Also, why would I want to continue to keep sending emails and dragging my, dragging someone else on if they're literally not interested at all? Like that doesn't serve me and my business whatsoever. So we're going to really talk about how to funnel those 4 types of leads. And then once they're inside of your funnel, what are you saying? What are you saying to create intrigue? Mitch actually has a really great philosophy. There's rule 4. I'll let him talk about it. But it's like, how do you get somebody to actually listen to you? He's really good at it. If you haven't heard him speak before, well,
I'll share it with you now so you
Go
can
for
keep talking about it. It's
it.
ability, value, intrigue, close. When you have a conversation with somebody that you're trying to close on, let's say buy their house or sell a house to, you create credibility, you give them value, you create intrigue, and you close.
There you go. And that's the most simplistic way to break this down. And I love that for all of us. Like the moment I heard that, I thought, well, why would that work? I really had to digest this because I'm like, until I understand something, I'm very much like against it. I don't know. I guess I'm a hard learner, I guess, right? I should just
A
take his word
difficult
for it.
student.
But
No.
yeah, right. It's like, why do I have to make things so complicated? But I really have to digest it and I really have to make it my own. So it's like, okay, I have to, what was the first one?
Show credibility.
So how do you show credibility?
Well, I mean, if you've done flips before, let's say you're trying to buy someone's house to flip, you can talk about your credibility and your history. Like, hey, I've flipped 4 or 5 homes before. Here's some pictures of what we do to the home. I know this home is emotionally valuable to you, and it's a hard thing to leave it, but we're gonna turn it into something really beautiful, and we're gonna make an incredible new, beautiful home for a wonderful family to be able to continue to enjoy this home, that kind of thing. If you don't have credibility yet, maybe this is your first flip, my team, right? That's a beautiful thing about being a part of this awesome community that Maeli and I lead is that you are surrounded by people who have tons of experience, not just me and Maeli, but a ton of other students in the community have a ton of experience, and we encourage you, hey, partner up on that first deal. Don't try to go it alone. Partner with somebody who has a little more experience than you. Make sure you bring in value to the table. But you can say, hey, look, my team combined, we've flipped 12 homes. And here's how those homes have turned out. And then it's the same conversation. It's borrowed credibility, right? So you can show credibility through what you've done before. You can also talk about how many families you've talked to about helping. Hey, look, just today I've talked to 5 families about helping, and here's how this works. It shows credibility if they know A, you've done this before, and if you haven't done it before, then borrow credibility from your team, or even B, hey, you're not the first person I called and asked this to, kind of thing. So there's credibility.
Yeah. And that's really important to really dissect because like a lot of times when we're first getting started, or even if, I mean, it's our 260th whatever deal now, and the case is, can you still be intimidated by some making phone calls? The answer is always, right? Like, can you still be intimidated knocking doors even though you have done all of this awesomeness in your life? Yes, absolutely you can. So rather than being like, oh no, this is so terrifying, just recognize that we're all the same. And whether it's your millionth deal or it's your first deal, we all still have to position ourselves as an authority figure. So first things first, what I would do is just pick a name. Pick a name. Who are you? Right? You have to be the CEO of your company. Every email you send out, every text message you send out, every signature from here on out on social media or whatever, it should say, Maeli, real estate investor agent, right? Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. Like that's our brand, but you should have your own brand. You need to sign off every single day claiming your throne of, I am a real estate investor. If you haven't made that arrangement for yourself already, I'm sorry, but you're probably not doing very well successfully inside the investment world because people won't take you seriously. You haven't claimed ownership that this is what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Nor will they remember who you are, right? It's like, oh, who's whatever this company is. So you have to create this, intrigue next, right? Number 2, intrigue.
Value.
Value. Very bad. See, I'm going to add an order. Good thing he's here. So you have to create credibility, and then you have to provide value. So what kind of value can we provide
Or
to you?
show the value that you're providing, right? For example, when you're buying someone's house, the first thing that especially when you're coming in to like a distressed homeowner situation, the first thing they're going to think of is you're taking advantage of me because I'm in a bad spot, right? So you need to show them the value that you're providing. One of the values that I love that we provide when we're working with, for example, pre-foreclosure leads and people that are going through the foreclosure process with the bank is, we come in and we show them, hey, look, if you go through this foreclosure process, the bank's going to not only take your house, but they're also going to destroy your credit. You're going to get a foreclosure mark on your credit. It's going to destroy your credit for like 10 years. You won't be able to get another, buy another house, get another mortgage for a decade, uh, or close to. So here's the value that we're providing. You're still, instead of turning your house over to the bank, turn it over to us. Assign the title to us. And what we'll do is we'll catch you up on your mortgage. We'll have you leave your mortgage in place so that, that's a benefit to us, but it's also a benefit to you because if we immediately catch your mortgage up, that stops the foreclosure, which means that foreclosure mark's not going to go on your credit. We'll put a contract in place that says that we'll pay your mortgage payment every month on time, or you get the house back. And so that's going to improve your credit starting immediately over the next 2, 3 years. And that improved credit's going to allow you to enjoy home ownership much sooner than if you go through the foreclosure process. So it's just, showing the value to them in what you're proposing. And so that's an art, you got to get good at it. But start thinking in terms of how does the buyer or how does the seller benefit, from this, or how does the other party benefit from this, and then presenting that value in a way that they understand it. What I've also seen is that people want to know what value I'm getting too. So being transparent about the value that you're getting, what's in it for you, right? Being transparent about the value that you're getting is also important, right? I think transparency actually is a very positive thing when it comes to deal making.
Well, and if you think about it, it's one of those scenarios is if it almost sounds too good to be true if you don't show what's in it for you, right? I actually lead with that heavily, right, on the calls because they're like, well, why would you do that? Why would you just take over my mortgage payment? Like, why would you do that for me, right? Like it doesn't make sense. But if they understand that as an investor, there's no way that we can possibly have hundreds of rentals in our name. Like we just can't do that. The most
And the
Fannie
mortgage
Mae
is
and
in
Freddie
you.
Mac will let us do is 10, right? So they have to understand like this is a win-win situation by letting us actually take over your mortgage and letting us help you out of this situation. It's actually benefiting us. It's creating generational wealth for us. It's creating, right? It's creating an ability for us to create cash flow and have another family move in and have a rental, right? They can have a safe space to live in now. It really creates this like beautiful ecosystem of they almost feel good that they're helping another family out too, right? Like if we can position it properly. So take a second, pause this video. We will be reposting this inside the Investor Secret Network, so you will have access to this content. What Mitch just said is revolutionary to your business. You should memorize this. What Mitch just went through, exactly how you should be positioning yourself on the call, on the doors, when you're talking to people. Exact word per word is what I would be trying to match. The inflections, how he's really trying to be a good person, right? He's not in it for himself necessarily. He knows the benefit for himself and what it can do for our family, but he is trying to help them see why it's so important that we can actually help them out of this situation. And remember, Phil felt found. He sold through an experience that he's done before. So even if you've never done it before, use Mitch's exact words, what he just said. We have done this before. We have. So because we've done that, you can say, you know what? We've done this. Our team has done this.
And if you need a team who's done it, join us.
Right. Come learn how to do it. But you should be, while you're driving, while you're on your bike, whatever you're doing, you should be listening to context of what Mitch was just going through because it really will make you a lot of money in your business. Okay, what's
Well, it
number three?
starts with excuse me, it also starts with being genuine, right? You have to have a fundamental philosophy of it's not a good deal unless it's a good deal for everyone involved. You don't want to rip anybody off. It comes back around, right? And you don't need to rip anybody off to get good deals and to make things work. If you are creating an abundance of leads, you will find those deals where you can create win-win scenarios, and those are the deals that you should be doing. And if that's how you're approaching it, then it's really easy to be genuine about it, right? Like that just makes it an easy thing. An abundance of lead flow is what that creates. The people who feel like they need to rip someone off to get into a good deal or to make something happen, those are the people that have a scarcity mindset, and they have a scarcity of mindset because they're not doing the work to create an abundance of leads. Because
And
there's
I
good
love
deals out there everywhere.
I love that you just said that. And one of the homework, lessons that we give is you have to generate 100 leads, right? So today is Tuesday. This upcoming Thursday at noon, I go live in the Investor Secret Network. Again, the link is in the description below on the YouTube channel if you don't know what that is. We're going to give that to you for free for 30 days. So definitely, jump on. Don't have anything to lose. Not for free, excuse me, it's for $1. Just so that, right, you have access to everything. Anyway, I go
Stay tuned
live.
to the end. We'll tell you more about that.
Yeah.
Learn real estate investing for $1 for 30 days.
Woohoo! I'm so excited. Let's go 2025, right? But I go live every single Thursday at noon, and that's all we're doing is smiling and dialing these leads. Well, the key behind this is generating those leads. We want you to generate over 100 leads. When you get on my call on Thursday, you should have at least 100 leads sitting in front of you that you can be smiling and dialing. There's a couple reasons why that's so important. One, the biggest reason out of all of the reasons, this is the number one reason this is so important. It's because you will be in a hurry. If you feel like if that person on the other line feels like you have all the time in the world, do they take you seriously? No. Do they feel like they have the buying power? They're the person that gets to make all the decisions? Yes. You haven't positioned yourself properly. In sales, it's very important to position yourself as the authority figure, right? Because we just showed them what's the word? Number one, you just said it.
Credibility.
Credibility, thank you. You just showed them the credibility of who you are and what you do. Then, right, you have to then tell them exactly what's going to happen next. You have to walk them through the entire process. If you are unwilling to do that, you will never, ever, ever close anything. And so positioning yourself as, guys, I have 100 leads to call. Like, I better freaking get to it. Like, I don't have time to freaking call, listen to your whatever you have going on. This is not like, it's either I can help you or I can't. Moving right along, right? It's this philosophy of if you can just smile and dial quickly, right? Then you're not so upset either when somebody says no to you because I don't really care. I have another 100 leads. Right? Like you don't care. But if you have 4 leads and that's all you're working on is 4 leads, now all of a sudden if somebody says no, right now you're really sad because you only have 3 more left. And so you'll soak the time out of life out of these people on the phone and it's not doing you any good because right, people want urgency. People want to know that you're a person that can take action and that solves people's problems. And then you have 100 other people's problems to solve today. Not just, not just tomorrow, but today and tomorrow and the next day. So generating leads is very important to your success, but more so than anything, it is the follow-up because if you can do all the lead gen, which is where a lot of our students are, right? Is they do all this great lead gen. That's why this call, we're going to get to the workflow here in a second, because it's one thing to create all of the work or all the leads and then do nothing with them. And a lot of you are sitting there and a lot of you are just staring at the screen, looking at all your leads right now going, wow, look at all this good stuff I did. And not making phone calls though, right? You're not making those phone calls or you're making phone calls, but it's 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. If you only make 2, 3 phone calls at a time, your momentum is not there. I hate to break it to you. And if you do get somebody to say yes and book an appointment for you with you, then you shouldn't stop That's like the rule number one, right? Don't stop in sales. If you get a yes, you keep smiling and dialing because you're excited, your momentum's up, Zig Ziglar says it best. A sale is simply a transfer of energy. That's all it is. People can feel your excitement. People can feel how, what you're doing. Like, oh, I just got somebody else to say yes, so you're going to say yes too. It's just this idea of you are going to do it too. And because simply you're in your mind, you're like, oh, well, I just got this person to do it. So of course this person's going to say yes to me as well, right? You really do control exactly how things go down. So if you're in a bad mood, do you think it's a good time to start smiling and dialing? Probably not. Fix your mood, then start smiling and dialing. Usually I just say, watch a YouTube video that, motivates you somehow and cheers you up or something funny. Luckily we have TikTok now, and that's nice because a lot of funny stuff on TikTok. Watch some smiling babies. I don't know. Okay, roll. And then what's number 4, babe? Oh, no. So you did 1, 2. What's 3?
Intrigue.
So how do you create intrigue?
Oh man, well, so intrigue is, the symptom of intrigue is that they have questions. And that's a good thing. You're doing your job if you're creating questions, you're creating that intrigue, right? If you're not creating intrigue, what you're gonna get is the door slammed, the phone hanging up, you're not doing a good job of creating that. So what you want to do is you want to practice creating kind of cliffhanger statements and questions. Um, we do this in any sales process, whether it's, you know, in our business or with with leads we're talking to. Maili does it when she's, Maili loves knocking doors for leads. That's not everybody's cup of tea, but Maili's really, really good at it. So she creates statements and questions that get people like intrigued, right? Like, what are you talking about? And the more intrigued you can get people, the more they're going to listen to the conversation. So you want to create that credibility and value. And while you're doing that, do it in a way that kind of creates intrigue to where they're going to want to pay attention to the conversation. And then as they're paying attention to the conversation, you can educate them, which is value. You can educate them on what you're proposing. Like for example, a subject to. That's not something that every homeowner knows how to what it is or how to do it, right? And it may if you're not educating them properly while you're talking to them about your proposal, then they're going to think it's some sort of scam, like you're just taking their house from them, right? So you need to make sure that you're creating that intrigue so that they're interested in what you have to say, and then once they're intrigued, educate, create more value, and then usually if you're creating enough intrigue, that opens the door to saying, let's get this deal done. Are you ready to go? Do you want me to save your credit? Right? That kind of thing. Or, do you want my product or service? Or, whatever it is, like let's sign on the dotted line, whatever that thing is. Right. So creating that intrigue just draws them further into the conversation with you, which gives you the ability to create more value, create that trust, and close.
I love the idea of even closing that conversation with like, does this sound crazy to you? And their natural instinct is going to be like, no, because they don't want to offend you. But by them saying the word no out loud removes all buying pressure immediately, right? If they say no, it's like, oh, okay, cool. But it feels so good for them to say no, right? We want to say no in a sales process for some reason, right? As humans, like that's a natural thing. Like we just want to say no. But the moment I say no, what else can I do? Like you have full control now in the sale. If you can get somebody to say no in a good way in a sale, then all of a sudden it kind of repositions it of great. So you don't have any questions then, it sounds like, because right now, like, you kind of backed them up in a position where it actually worked pretty well. So practice doing open-ended kind of conversation, questions. My favorite is a pullback. So how I create intrigue is by taking something from someone. So in just sales in general, right? A rule of thumb I've found is that people always want what they can't have. It's just natural, right? We all do it. And so if I'm on the doors or if I'm on the phone and I say something like, now listen, right? And you all could do this, which I feel like is great because you could relate to this. You can say, you know what? I'm actually not the decision maker. I'm not the decision maker. My team and I, right? Again, leveraging a third party validation type person, my team and I are, they have to run their numbers. I'm not the expert, right? I can say that still today. I'm not the expert, right? And so I need to go back and run my numbers and make sure that this fits what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't know if your home qualifies. I don't know. I don't know if this is exactly what we're looking for. And by you pulling back, all of a sudden, they also go, well, wait a second, you don't want my house anymore? Well, you just said you were going to do all these great things for me. It's like, oh, well, I said potentially I could do these things. But until I actually run my numbers and until I know exactly, right, all of the details and the timeline in which we can do this, I don't know if this is a good fit. People immediately will lean in. They will immediately try to get you to want their house more, which is a good place to be in, because at the end of the day, right, they're hearing a million other people, like they're calling them, they're bugging them. But if you all of a sudden are like, actually, I don't know if this is a good fit for us, all of a sudden they kind of get a little offended. And that's actually where you want them to be, because they'll start asking you even more questions. Well, like, how do I qualify? Or how does my home qualify? Those are intrigue questions. The moment somebody, right, starts asking those questions, that is where you get to close. So in sales cycle, the key is to, like I said, Mitch creates a momentum, right? And then by the very top, the intrigue is the highest. Once intrigue and their excitement is at the highest peak is when you drop bad news. It's when you drop the bad news. And then you have to be able to match that peak that you met before. You drop that peak and then you bounce it back up with something really exciting. So even though I pulled away and I just created some bad news for them, whatever it was, right? Whether I did a price, I told them what I could offer them, that's usually bad news because that's not what they were expecting, or whatever it might be. You need to now match on the other side. You need to train, you train their brain basically like, oh, well, that's disappointing, but I also got this. So whatever that, you have to leave them on another high. Okay. So you never get off the phone or you never end up knocking doors, leaving them feeling like, oh, they don't want my house or whatever it is, right? The pullback works just to create that intrigue, but you have to leave them on a high so that they actually do want to continue to keep working with you. So you can say something like, great news though, right? So repositioning yourself, but great news, if this does work out, then these are the things that I can do for you. Or great news, we have an opening to do this for 3 homeowners or 3 families this month. So this might be exactly what we're looking for. Some kind of like, it's okay, right? I get it. Like, that sucks that it might not qualify, but also fantastic news, our budget, or what we have in our savings account, or my team and I, right? We have enough money to help 3 families. Oh, that sounds good to me, right? Like, could I be one of the 3 families? Maybe. Let's figure it out, right? And make them feel like you are there to help them. And that's pretty much it. And because that's your close. So now how are you going to keep track of these people? That is now the real ticket. When do you know when to follow up with them again? How? Because if on the doorstep, because I'm going to share my screen for just 1 second, and then I'm going to let Mitch share his screen. So some things that can you see my welcome packet? Okay. So this is a little sneak peek inside of our, we got some spelling errors, that's fine. Inside of our welcome packet. This is not the new one, but goodness, we got all sorts of changing a bunch of stuff. It's fine. Okay, so I find number 1, right? You just got to find the property lead. And then you have to be able to have a conversation. So we have lots of scripts that are available to you. I do think that the lowest hanging fruit is FSBOs and or homes that have been on the MLS longer than 90 days. Those are going to be your easiest leads to start practicing on. And I encourage you to, in the very beginning, to create 100 leads of kind of just BS leads, because I want you to practice smiling and dialing on people who you don't care that you offend, or people that you don't care that they care about offending you, right? Like, just, it doesn't matter. They're completely worthless leads. You're just going to blow them. And so I actually think that KSL, Zillow, Redfin, those are really great places to figure that out. And then obviously we're going to go into some really great leads. So you have evictions, you have probate, you have divorce, you have absentee owners, you have expired listings, what we just talked about. Well, those expired, and then homes that are just still on the market, aged listings, bankruptcy, foreclosures, right? Those are all really great scenarios that you're going to really need to figure out. Board investors, cash buyers, homes that are they own them out free and clear, because that's a great seller finance deal. High equity, right? Where it's like, ooh, we could still do some type of cool seller finance deal. So the list is so long, it's ridiculous. But then the key is you need to figure out how to create an ARV. So if you don't know how to create an ARV, great news. This call next week for Mitch and Maeli Live, I'm going to be showing how to create an ARV if you are a real estate agent, and if you're not a real estate agent, how to create an ARV for yourself using a Zillow platform just to at least get you an offer. You should never be writing a offer unless you actually have an accurate ARV. So you are going to need to be in a good relationship with some type of real estate agent in your area. I'm sorry, I don't think that there's any other way or work around it. You have to get an actual ARV. Once you're under contract and you're running your hard numbers, you need to know your ARV. You have to, and there's no other way to do it than to have an agent that knows what they're doing, show you exactly what that ARV would be. Okay, so we'll be doing that training next week. I think that will be very valuable to everyone just to understand the process of how to run an ARV. So that'll be great next Tuesday, right here on the Investor Secret Network on YouTube Live, Mitch and Maeli. We're going to show you exactly what it looks like to create an ARV and have some fun with it, because we've had some really ugly houses that, right? You gotta, but this is why, this is the why. Okay, so when you are on the phones or in their houses, you're bumping into people. This is exactly why people are going to be working with you. Okay, this is why they're going to sell to you. And you need to memorize this. It needs to be on all of your flyers. This needs to be on your website. This needs to be everything that you do should talk about this. People work with me because they don't have the money to remodel their house. People work with me because they don't have the time, right? They don't know, or they don't have the know-how to fix the house up, right? They don't have the desire. They're just like, oh my gosh, I live in Texas and my uncle, he just passed away and he's left this house and it's full of crap and I don't know what to freaking do with it, right? No stress. Great news. You don't have to worry about anything. We handle everything for you. You don't have to look at the property if you didn't want to ever again, right? Like, we got you. We buy houses as is. You don't need to fix anything, right? We want to pick up the home just the way it is, because our team is way more efficient than you and your family members, I promise, right? We will be in and out, and we know the game. Excuse me. And then just in general, right? We don't have the time to fix it up. We don't have the money to fix it up. They don't have the know-how to fix it up. We suggest you leave what you don't want and take what you do. This is like our motto, right? We've used this for the last, for me, 8 years. We want you to leave everything you don't want. And we picked up some cool gems, by the way. we got an arsenal of stuff in our house, which is random stuff that we have from people just leaving all sorts of stuff behind. But that's okay, because it's very daunting. I don't know if you've ever dealt with somebody's, house or a loved one's house, but it's a lot of work. It can be. And so it's such a breath of fresh air for them to be like, oh, don't have to, I can take whatever I want, but then I can just leave whatever I don't want. Yes. What's the most dumpsters we've done, babe? Like 36 dumpsters or something crazy?
It's I don't know if it's that high of number, but I think like a dozen. Yeah.
It's pretty high. We pay cash for properties. We can usually close within 10 days. That's super ideal, right? We will give you a free market cash offer. We will take care of the rest. Like, these are things that are life-changing for people that are in a situation of when they need your help. Okay, so remember, you just need to solve people's problems, discover what that problem is that you're trying to solve, and then just keep pushing on that pain point, because all of us are moving from pain to pleasure all day long, every day. That is our only mission, right? Like, we are constant in flux, and our bodies, our natural human behavior is to move from pain to pleasure, and we'll do almost anything that it takes to make that happen all day long. Like that is how we live and how we cope. So if you can figure out somebody's pain point, figure out what is making this deal not work for them for whatever reason, climb in, dig deep, discover, ask a lot of questions, pull out all the awesomeness from them, and then that's when you can pull away and close. Okay, so with that being said, I think, my love, it is time. And I guess I could show you our Facebook like leads on how, oh yeah, look, we're trying to design our Christmas party or our Winter Wonderland party. But yeah, so if you are on Facebook, I guess probably something that I spend a lot of time in that would be very helpful is just to understand how you are, what you're saying inside of your conversations with people, because what you say does matter. So we will dive a little bit into that, but in this moment, oh, hello, Waleska, you're so pretty. So we'll dive into probably some of that today if we have time. If not, we will wait till the following week. So Mitch, why don't you go ahead and share your screen, give us a little bit of love. And I don't know, do you have Jandon's number where you could also maybe help, help them realize they don't have to do this by themselves?
I can post it in Investor Secret Network. I'll post it in the comments. Now, so what I want to share is Maeli talked about, how we can go generate leads and the conversations that we want to have with those people. And we want to take massive action because like I talked about earlier, if you have a scarcity of leads, you're going to have a scarcity mindset, right? And you're going to take on deals that you probably shouldn't take on because you think that that's all you have and that's all that's out there. But if you're generating an abundance of leads, which there are an abundance of leads out there, right? There's so many different types of distressed homeowners from, people that are going through foreclosure, people that are in bankruptcy, people that are going through divorce. The real estate's always a point of contention in a divorce, right? People who have had a death in the family and now their home's in probate, right? Gosh, chemical contamination like meth or mold. Occasionally you find good deals on the MLS. Occasionally, there's some good wholesales out there. Not a ton, but there are some good ones. There's so many different ways to find deals, and everything works and nothing doesn't. The only thing that's not going to work for you is if you don't do anything. But I wouldn't limit yourself to one lead gen source. If you're like, oh, I'll just find a good agent and they'll find me on my deals, you're not gonna be working very much, right? You're gonna have a little bit of a scarcity of leads coming through. You want an abundance of leads so that you have dozens of deals to choose from and you take the cream of the crop. And you can always wholesale the A minuses, right? Just take the A's and wholesale the A minuses. But you want to be generating those massive leads. But Maeli kind of hit on a point early on that I want to dive a little bit deeper into, and that is if you're not organized, you will forget. You'll forget conversations that you have because if you're creating an abundance of leads and you're talking to dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people, you're trying to keep track of all that mentally or on pen and paper, it's going to go away. It's going to get lost. You're going to forget about it. And so there's tools that you can use to help kind of keep track of that. And the first one, as you're starting out, you may not have a huge budget to like go invest in awesome CRM software. So where I started, the very first thing that I started doing was a spreadsheet. And I'm gonna share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yep, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. All right. So it just starts simple. Like you'll start with homeowner for name, right? Name, phone number, email, the address of the home, right? The value of the home, add notes. I mean, you could get as robust as you want. Here's an example of one of my older, if I can get the Zoom controls out of the way here. Here's an example of one of my older spreadsheets. I mean, you could see how robust, like all of the information. I'm scrolling around because I don't want anybody to have their information leaked, but you can see how much information I captured inside of the spreadsheet. And the beautiful thing about spreadsheets is you can organize them by every column. You can sort them no matter how many columns you have. You can sort them by that column, right? So you can sort by any level of information. But at a certain point, once you reach tons and tons of leads, it's like, okay, I've outgrown the spreadsheet thing. And that's where you want to go into, a little higher level CRM, customer retention management system, customer relationship manager, CRM. Is that what that stands for? Customer relationship manager, or client relationship, contact relationship manager, whatever it is. But this will help you. Ours, we use Go High Level. This has been white labeled by who we bought it from. So he calls it Demand Engine, but it's Go High Level. And what's cool about Go High Level, Maylee showed you that little form on her phone that she has. You can create something as simple as when you're having a conversation, and these forms are easy to make, right? They're just drag and drop. You just say, okay, I want a first name, and you drag it and you drop it where you want it, right? That's what we did to get that first name there, last name, email address, phone number. You can add, you can add uh, as many texts or images or uh, uh, let's see, single line text. So you can add as many input forms as you want, right? And you just come in and edit the information over here. And then when you're talking to somebody, just hand them your phone. They fill out this little form, they hit submit, and now a lead is generated inside of Go High Level. And what's cool about that is you can actually create automations inside of Go High Level. We'll just create an example one here just for funsies. But you can create a workflow that says, okay, here's a workflow. So you can say, okay, whenever the form is submitted, that's called, and you want to say, okay, form is Maylee's one thing. That's what we call it. Maylee's one thing. Meaning that's all Maylee has to do is when she's out networking, here you go. This is my one thing that I do. You fill out this form. That's it. Right? So Maylee's one thing, save trigger. So when that's submitted, it triggers this workflow and you say, all right, what's the first thing I want to do? Well, I want to send them a text message. So you'll say, all right, send them an SMS and say, hey there. And here's the cool thing. You could even say, hey there, first name, because they put their first name in. So the system's going to know, the system's going to know what their first name is. So you're going to, hey there, first name. Hey there, Joe. It was so great meeting you today. Let's talk more about your property. When is a good time to chat? So, and then you could say Maylee. So if we save this, whenever this is submitted, this will now send them that text message, right? And it'll happen immediately. So let's say, you don't want them to fill out the form and then boom, they get a text message while you're still standing there talking to them. So you can say, all right, well, let's have them just wait for 5 minutes. And then they'll get the text message when I walk away. And then they think it's coming from me, right? And then what you can do is you can say, hey,
I like to know that they immediately got it, so I don't do that, by the way, because I'll wait to make sure that they gave me the right phone number.
It is, right? You get to obviously you get to make this thing on your own. I mean, I'm showing you can create a simple one where it just ends there, right? And then you can get back in and see, the conversations that you've had with these people inside the CRM, or I'll just go kind of one level of complexity higher. You can say, all right, if now we're creating an if condition down here as the next step. If, let's see, might be doing something that I forgot how to do here. So let's say if they, contact reply. We got to add a wait. So I want to do contact reply and it says, please add a wait for reply step above this. So I have to add the just for demonstration purposes so you guys can see how robust this could, and you could get even further than what I'm doing now. You can have AI get involved, right? And discern what the intent of their message is and have different replies based on that. I do have examples of when I've done that, right? So wait for contact reply from, that's our only one. We titled it SMS. That's just the default. So if you start having multiple text message, you want to start naming them different things. But so when they reply to that text message, Then we're going to do an if then. If the contact replied, where'd it go? Contact reply. There it is. If the contact reply if they did reply, and then the other branch, so that's one replied. And then if they didn't reply, so if the contact replied, you can have it actually text you, right? So what we'll do here is we'll say, all right, then if they did reply, then I want an internal notification is what that's called. And I want it to send me a text message to particular user Maeli. And you could say contact first name or contact full name responded to your message. Then you know to get into the CRM because the CRM has its own text. You'll have your own phone number inside the CRM. It's going to be different from your cell phone number. There is an app, a Go High Level app that you can use to go back and forth. But this is just a simple text message that will be sent to Maeli when they do reply that says, hey, so-and-so responded to your message. Now she knows to get in and respond. But if they don't reply, so if we wait, the timeout is, let's wait 1 day. So, and that's here on the wait, right? If they don't reply, oops, I did this a little wrong. All right, we're going to move this. I'll explain what I did wrong here in a second. We actually don't need this if then. So I'm going to delete that one because by adding the failover, the wait function actually creates its own if then. So if the contact replies, I want that internal notification. If it times out, then what do we do? Well, after a day, we'll send them another text message. And we'll call this SMS2 so we know how to differentiate it. And we'll say, hey, so-and-so, did you, get my message from yesterday? I would love to chat about your property that you mentioned in our conversation. When would be a good time to jump on the phone?
And remember, here is where you do need to create value, right? So the steps, the 4 steps, he's just briefly going through this, but remember in those text messages, if you really do want someone to respond back to you, you do need to follow those 4 rules. So, you know, even though people are like, well, I'm not closing them. Yes, you are. Every step of every single conversation, you should always be closing, right? So whether you're closing them to the next thing that you need them to fill out, or you're closing them to say yes to a time that you can swing by their house, or you're saying yes, they're interested in even getting an offer, right? Receiving an offer. No matter what that case is, you really need to focus on, okay, I need to let them know who I am. Remember, this is what I do for a living, right? So you're giving them that you know, positioning yourself, and then create the value. Why do they want to work with you? What can you possibly provide for them, right? Based on the conversation that you had. So you're providing value, right? And then you're like showing them, hey, intrigue, right? Like, I don't know for sure if your home qualifies, but if it does, I potentially could give you an extra $50,000 on your home. Is that something that you would be interested in receiving an offer for? Bam! Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, shoot, I probably wasn't excited before, but an extra $50,000, how? Why could you do that, right? It creates intrigue. Keep going.
Yeah. So no, exactly. And I'm just doing quick and simples just so you guys can get the gist. But you can see now I've created after this, I've created another wait and I can just do another level of this internal notification and then a third text message. But think about this. I set this up once and all Maeli had to do manually was her one thing. Hey, I really want to chat with you more about this. Please give me your contact info. And it's a form they fill out, just simple, right? I've got it right here. Just simple. Give me your first name, last name, phone number, email address, city, state. You can add in, give me your property address, whatever you want to add in. We just wanted to keep it simple, right? We'll get that stuff as we talk to them. But that's all she had to do. And then the system waits 5 minutes or not, if you don't want to have that thing in there, sends them a text message, waits for a day. If they respond, it lets Melee know. If they don't respond, it sends a follow-up text message. Melee doesn't have to do any of this stuff, right? It just waits for them to respond. And you can keep going down. You can even do a go to, what's called a go to, and say, all right, so if they don't respond after a day there, then I want it to come back up and I want it to start this loop again. So I want it to come back here, right? So if they're like, texted, didn't answer, texted, didn't answer, texted, didn't answer, texted, didn't answer, you right? And it just keeps doing this loop. So you could put them in this. I mean, eventually they can text stop and, stop the whole thing, and that's fine. But you can put them in this loop of every day they're getting dripped on, and the ones who text stop, obviously they're not interested, but why would you waste your time on people who aren't interested anyway, right? But the ones who are interested, maybe they need to be touched 3, 4, 5 times before they're going to respond to a text message because they're busy. Their house is in foreclosure. Their life's in disarray. They're occupied with other things. So this creates an incredible way to automate the follow-up, and the fortune in real estate is in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. That's true no matter what. So we guys, we encourage you to go out and generate an abundance of leads. The one thing we would say is make sure you're educated. If you're going to go out and do real estate's a simple thing. It really is. And I bet if you asked a heart surgeon, is the heart complex or simple? Oh, it's simple. It's just a couple of valves and this and that. But it's simple to them because they're educated, because they're knowledgeable, because they went to school and they learned the theory about heart surgery and how the heart works. And then they followed somebody who knew how to do it and they watched them as they did it. And then they went out and did it on their own, right? So real estate investing can be just as dangerous financially as heart surgery is medically. And so, don't go out and take those risks if you're not educated and you haven't gotten the proper introduction to real estate investing. And that's a perfect segue to let you know that we have right now an opportunity for you to be able to start learning real estate investing for $1 for 30 days. Our Investor Secret Network is a subscription-based education and community model. You'll get to connect with dozens of real estate investors from around the country. You'll get to know them. You'll get to, interact with them in our private community, as well as we have over 30 hours of education to get you started on deal finding, to get you, a preparatory education on fix and flips and subject to strategy and long-term rentals and short-term rentals and raising capital. And you can learn all of that for $1 for 30 days. So the link is in the description. You're going to want to you click that link, sign up for your $1 your $1 first month. It will renew at 97 and you can go as long as you want to. Satisfaction's guaranteed, so you can cancel at any time. So if you want to try it for 29 days for $1 and then cancel, do it. We encourage you to. We'd love to have you as part of the group, even if it's for a short time. But make sure you do that because you can start connecting with like-minded individuals. You can start learning this stuff. You can start plugging into the events that we have around the country. Melee and I are based in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we hold at least one event a week, and usually it's like 2 or 3 events a week where we're out, training people at fix and flips, or Melee teaches how to generate leads by knocking doors, or we have trainings like this one where we go much deeper into detail about how to structure the follow-up and all those amazing things. All those events are listed inside of the Investor Secret Network. You're not going to want to miss out on this. This is a limited time thing only. So click that link in the description, get set up for $1. And then for those who are inside of our Investor Secret Network, we have a special invitation for Investor Secret Network members to join our First Flip Challenge. And I'm going to let Melee talk about the First Flip Challenge a little bit for just a second before we sign off here.
All right. Yeah. So because we are wanting and now have, dozens of challengers across the nation who are like, wait, we want to do the challenge, not just in Salt Lake City, but in Tampa and, we're all over Texas. So because that's the case, we have opened this up to the nation. You can be a part of the First Flip Challenge, whether you are in Utah, you're in Idaho, you're in Nevada, Texas, it doesn't matter where you're at, you can join and feel like you're getting boots on the ground advice in your area. And we want to show you how to become a market leader if that's exciting to you as well. If you're someone that's watching this going, gosh, I really love this idea of the First Flip Challenge. I want to be able to get into my first deal in 90 days, or I want to be able to help others get into their first deal in 90 days, right? Abundance. If you're the person in front of the room that is saying, hey, I know how to find the leads, I know how to help you get into your first deal in 90 days, don't you think that's a really great position for others to want to pair up with you and leverage your success as well? Yes, that's how you create credibility, is by becoming someone that has been in a deal. First flip challenge is for you. You need to figure out how to get into your first deal. So that's how you generate. The fastest way to have credibility is to join the challenge. You immediately get to leverage all of the challenge success. And I'm telling you, the success is wild. All right, so there's two opportunities for you. This Friday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we'll put the link here. You can join the Zoom call. And basically, we go over all the do's and don'ts and how to join and the requirements and the time commitment and what it would look like to be inside of the 90-day first flip challenge. And then the second thing that we want to invite you to is to fly out or to drive to our first flip challenge accelerator. This is being held January 18th in Salt Lake County and in Utah County. So we're going to be doing a mixture because we also have the Winter Wonderland Gala award ceremony for season 2 of the First Flip Challenge. So we want everyone to get all dolled up and come hang out with us. We can put the link obviously in the description for you to register and figure out how to make it. But it's an all-day accelerator where you're going to learn how to raise capital. And by the time you leave, Whitney Stark, she's going to show you how to raise over $2 million in capital. Okay, that sounds fantastic. That's how you go out and do your first deal, right? And then we're going to have Jason Andrews, who's going to show us exactly from point A to point B how to do a fix and flip. So you feel very confident going into your challenge. I'm so excited. I'm freaking out. It's going to be a wild time. So if you are curious how to get a friend or a family member to also join you, because it's way more fun to be in a challenge with somebody else holding you accountable to your goals and dreams. So this is what this is for. That's it. That's all I've got.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for joining this returning episode of Mitch and Maeli Live. We will be back every single week, broadcasting live in the Investor Secret Network and on YouTube Live on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. noon Mountain Time. We will see you next week. See you on the flip side.